We are finally back for another week of our weekly office hours. And as per usual, as we've been trending lately, I want to continue to talk about pool builders and pool builder SEO services a little bit. I think we're going to dip in again a little bit this week to local SEO as well, because I think it's very important. And I want to cover off a few different things around Google News, big news come out recently that may not most pool builders probably aren't aware of, and for good reason, because it's not your area and it's not something that they would generally be looking for. And I want to get into a little bit also after that, social media. I know that social media is a thing that pretty much all of us are trying to continue to do. And I'm going to be upfront and say I'm poor at making sure that I'm posting on social media. I've been terrible at it for years for my own stuff, right? So I want to look at how we can make that easier for ourselves, what kind of services that we might be able to provide to help with that, leveraging some of the tools here. But I'm going to be very open about how I might go about this. So social media is not something that we've generally done in the past. So first of all, very recently here, as recently as yesterday, we have a new post up on our site at the moment around SEO and pool building, sorry, marketing ideas for pool builders, right? So 14 marketing ideas for pool builders. Now, this is something that I put up yesterday night. I made a couple of edits this morning to bring it into line, I think, with some being, just to tidy it up, because I think that when you post something on your website, the tendency is to set and forget. And I think that if you go away and then come back and give it another read, you're going to see areas where you really want to improve it, where you think like, hey, maybe I didn't really try to describe this as well as I could have, or maybe I could add something in here for clarity, like an image or something like that, that might help people to understand where we are going with it. So as usual, we have our AI generated banner here. So this is an AI generated image, and then I just knocked up a little bit here on Canva, the header in that. So it was really easy. This is something that I encourage everybody to do if you are going to be posting on your own blog. But this is something we do as well, because I find that what we want to do is incorporate as much AI as possible into the marketing that we do. And I think we should be very careful in getting AI to do writing, or getting AI to make decisions for us, or complicated tasks. But we can leverage it in things where it's very easy to review it, or we have the time to review. So something like this, where it's a pool that looks like a money, a dollar symbol here. I think that works really well. It's a really easy image to use, and all I did in Canva is make sure I've got some some lettering over the top to make it clear as to what the image is all about. Now, if I wanted to spend more time making this beautiful, I could. For me, I think this was enough. I thought that was pretty good. Sort of following an 80-20 rule here, and posted it up. So I encourage pool builders, if you don't have images for the things that you're trying to post about. So maybe you're trying to post on pool maintenance or something like that. You don't have specific images, and you don't have a partner that you get those images off in terms of, say, maybe you just do building, you don't do servicing, but you want to write about pool maintenance because it's something that Google would expect. And you can't get images off, say, a pool maintenance partner that you've worked with in the past or that you've recommended. Then try generating something using AI. You can do it with ChatGPT. It will do that. But you can also do that with Midjourney, which is my preference generally. I find there's just more. I just like the prompts. I think the way that it handles prompts is better so far. But to be fair to ChatGPT and any other tool that's out there, right, there's still Stable Diffusion, which is way more complicated, and I wouldn't recommend for anybody in a beginner level for this. Every tool has its quirks, and I really haven't used ChatGPT much for this. I prefer Midjourney. I've been on it for quite a while. So 14 marketing ideas for pool builders. So what I want to do here in this blog, and you'll find if you go ahead and read it, is that we really want to look at what are ways that you can start to drive more customers, not more traffic, not more SEO rankings, and not blah, 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 blah. How can you get more customers, right? So more leads into the business. Now, there's many ways to do that. Theoretically, right? There's many different actions you can take, channels you can pursue. But I think the main takeaway here is that there's really only three ways to get more business. It's one, get more traffic and still convert at the same rate you're already converting at. Two, convert that traffic to leads at a higher rate. So say that you're getting 1,000 people, you're converting 10%. So that's great. You're getting 100 leads or something like that. you could convert at a higher rate at 13%, and obviously that would make a difference to you, right? Especially if then after that you close 50%, closing a couple more pools every time is going to be important to closing those deals, right? And then obviously that leads to the last one is convert leads to customers at a higher rate. So even if you got a 100 leads and you converted those leads to customers at 50% as well, that's 50 pools. But then if you were to convert at 60%, right, you're at 60 pools. So that's a big difference in terms of revenue and things like that. So there's 3 ways really that you can do it. Convert more, get more traffic, convert it the same, convert the traffic you get at a better rate, and or convert the leads that you get into customers at a better rate, right? Because someone's going to come to the site. That's step one. Step two is to send you a message, and step three is for you to actually get them through the door on the proposal, get them to sign and be ready for install whenever that may be. So they're the 3 main ways to do that, and we wanted to cover off as many as these we could sort of think of off the top of my head straight out the gate. I did obviously use some inspiration from other people's experiences here, but I think this is good. So we started with how to get more traffic using PPC advertising, Facebook, not just talking about SEO, right? There's a number of different ways you can do that. Looking at your local SEO and perfecting your Google My Business profile, things like that. And then we go down and we break down here. There is more, how to convert more traffic into leads. And finally, what we did leave out here, because there's sort of a lack of direct experience in that right now, that right this moment, I don't have any insight into the back end of converting more leads at the proposal stage into customers. That's something your sales teams will definitely know about, and you probably know about it if you are the owner. But something that I think that I would like to spend a little bit more time around before I speak too openly on that. I know there are a number of things that most people would recommend, sales tactics and all that sort of stuff, but I think there's probably better ways to do that also, not just sales tactics. This may be things like getting a proposal over within 24 hours and things like that. It's not a tactic on how to sell people or how to talk to them or how to, be really slick. Just things that are, hey, you got to strike while the iron's hot, and you can do those sorts of things. So I'd love for you to check it out. Love any feedback on all this. Probably this will continue to change as I read it again. I'll probably get another read this weekend and edit it up a little bit more. To be honest, I posted it up knowing that I need to get this out, and that's part of the 80-20 rule of sort of making sure that you're continuing with your marketing. But I just really feel like there's more to be done. So yeah, I'd love to hear any feedback or any comments on this and what anybody thinks in terms of how this can be used, how more traffic can be converted to more leads, etc., etc. Excuse me there. But yeah, so that's first things first. We have a new blog up. Obviously, we still have our other content for Pool Builders up at the moment. So there's still your pool marketing tips that are data backed, right, based on what we've seen. And then we've got your Pool Builder website statistics as well, which is a good way to benchmark your pool building website to have a look and say, hey, this is what I have in terms of statistics. I have this many links. I do or do not do Facebook marketing, etc., etc. Those things can be very important. And I think that you could definitely learn a lot from this, and combination, these 3 posts can really combine and help you to elevate the number of clients, the visibility that you have on your business. Speaking of visibility on business and blogging, I wanted to dive into something here because I touched on cyclical pool marketing when I was writing our blog post recently. And one of the things that I noticed in sort of doing this and sort of thinking about, what might be useful for you to hear, what might be helpful for you as a pool builder to read about, is that there is coming up with ideas is generally really difficult for a lot of pool builders, for a lot of business owners in general, in marketing. And it's almost like there's too much to write about that you don't know what you should write about some days. And then other days it feels like there's so much that you know and you take for granted that you're not sure what is going to be important to customers. And some of the things may not be important to people until after you've completed your service, whether that's SEO or creating ads or installing a pool, say pool maintenance, for example. And it's hard to see the direct line between that and dollars, right? So what I wanted to do, at least to help with the ideation side of things, is to show you how you can use a couple of tools, or how we have used a couple of tools previously as well, to better do research for what ideas, what things should we be writing about. Now, there's two real ways to do this. You can go to a tool like ChatGPT and you can ask it to help you to ideate, right? So we could do that right now. Let me pull ChatGPT up here and let's jump into a quick conversation with it and ask it to help us ideate. So here we go, ChatGPT. I've got it up here. So let me put this microphone down. I've got to do some typing, and let's ask it. Okay, so what you can do, I'm using ChatGPT 4.0, which is the newest model, the most advanced model. If you're on a free account, I think you get now free ChatGPT 3.5 as a base minimum. So you don't have to have the newest model for this to work. And let's actually use 3.5. So I could say, you know, hey, ChatGPT, I have a pool builder. I have a pool building and installation business, and I want to write more content for my blog. Can you help me come up with, let's say, 10 ideas for my blog that would be relevant to people looking to buy a pool? Just for reference, I install both fiberglass and concrete pools, depending on the client's needs and situation. I want to focus on, actually, you know what, that's fine. Let's see what I come up with, right? So I've typed that in, and already we have a number of ideas here. So of course, here are 10 blog posts. It is fiberglass versus concrete pools. So standard, it's a very standard one. We've seen this, I've seen this a lot, at least in the clients that we've worked with. Fiberglass versus concrete. No matter which side you fall on here, if you do both, great. No matter which side you fall on here, there's a great post to write, because each type has its merits, right? Concrete pools are obviously way more customizable than a fiberglass pool. A fiberglass pool obviously is a faster install generally than a concrete pool. So there's pros and cons to each, and depending on what the client feels and maybe their budget as well, they're going to go with one or the other. So it's a great way to write it and sort of sway them to your side. You can always lean them towards what you prefer to do, but be very honest about the pros and the cons here. People don't like to be tricked. They like to be informed, right? And even if, say, a concrete pool is more expensive, that may be what people want, because the ability to customize and decide the shape and what you want in it is way bigger than with a fiberglass pool. You don't have that option. The ultimate guide to pool design. So this great, I talk about pool designs, talking about the important things that part of the process in terms of designing a pool. Because I coming in would not know that as a client, right? I'd be like, okay, I need a pool, I want a pool. Maybe I'm building a house. Maybe I've just bought a house and I'm moving in. Maybe I've had my house for ages and I want a pool, but I don't know what kind of pool I want. I'm not sure about fiberglass pools. A lot of them is just, big rectangles. So, what's it like to design a pool, especially a concrete pool that is custom? What's that process like? How long does it take? What should I know? So all of these are some really, more or less decent ideas. Writing each one of these, if you're going to start to write on your blog as a pool builder, you would want to put each one of these at around about the 800 word mark minimum, I would say. And writing each one of these might take you one a week, right? Because you've got to find the time to sit down and write it. You've got to make sure you edit it, think about some images that you want to add. You want to post it and take a look at it and maybe make some tweaks and things like that. A week, if you can get one of these out a week, you're on a really good clip. If you can get one out every 2 weeks, that's better than what most people will do with one a month, right? So generally when we work with people, pool builders, we say to pool builders, if you can get out one blog post a week, you're going to be ahead of so many of the rest of your competition. So much of the competition is not posting at all. Those that are posting once a month, and a very few are posting once every 2 weeks. I would say that I don't have the statistics on hand, and I love them, but I would say that probably less than 5% of pool builders are posting one blog a week. So if you're able to do that, even if you're really far behind, you've done no SEO, you're going to catch up so fast to the rest of the market. definitely something if you have the time or money to invest in someone to do that for you, that is something that I would recommend. Now, so you want them to go, so what you want is to create this as a list and then sit down and think about the process to go through to do a blog post, right? And maybe that's something we should go in right here. Now, let's look at the process to create a blog post for a pool builder or for anyone really. I'll do it here in ChatGPT box. So let's ask ChatGPT what the process is and see what it says. What is the process for writing a blog post that is thorough, well researched, and will educate and inform my clients? Give me an outline of what that looks like and how long that might take from idea to publishing. Right. Cool. Okay. I love this. I love this because this is going to be a really interesting way to match between what ChatGPT thinks it knows and what I, with 10 plus years experience in this scenario, know to be true generally based on, working with, hundreds of small businesses, SaaS companies, everybody up and down the scale, essentially from one-man teams to a couple hundred people. So here's what we're getting here. ChatGPT says it is, the process is this: topic selection, research, outline, then we go into writing, revision, visuals, SEO, final review, and then publishing. Okay, so if we total this up, let's say it's 1, 4, 5, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so 14 days. So roughly on the 2-week schedule that most people, I think, who are really trying to do SEO right now, the lower end that is recommended is, well, not is recommended, but ChatGPT thinks it's going to take you 14 days. That's the lower end. We could add up the higher end here, but I would say to blow it out to close to 3.5 weeks, judging by some of the gaps here. So I think that is not unrealistic, but probably not. Some of this in here, I don't think is. What's the word? I don't think it's unrealistic for ChatGPT to say that you want to take 14 days to post a blog post, or that it can take 14 days. I just think the timeframes for some of these things are unrealistic. So a great example here is final review and formatting, SEO optimization, and visuals and multimedia. Now, if you are a small company, a small business, right, you are not Microsoft or something like that. You are not doing custom designs outside of something like Canva, but you're not having someone who custom created a logo or something for you, or a branding guide for you, and getting them to create, specialized cartoons. You are probably going to post some images. You might beautify them a little bit in Canva. You might make these designs fit what your branding, the rest of your site looks like, but this doesn't take a day. I would say visuals and multimedia and SEO optimization should take that's a day, plus even maybe final review and formatting. Those three at least I think is a day each. Revision, I think, is 1 to 2 days maximum, probably 1. I think you can go here and you can say the longest amount of time that you're going to spend, in my experience, is up in here in topic selection, research, and writing, right? So I find that the best way to do this is go for your topic selection, do your outline so you can think about what I might put in there before you do your research. What you want to do is get out of your head the knowledge that you have before you do research, because if you do research first, my experience, and you look at other people's stuff, it's going to sway what you think is important, and you're going to put subconsciously to the back of your mind the specialties that you have, the opinions that you have based on years of working in the space. Or if you're not, super experienced in the space, you're going to put in the back of your head, to the back of your head subconsciously, the things that you know based on your observation working within the business. So I say this because many a time the person who has to write the blog is somebody in the office, right? It might be the receptionists or somebody else whose general job is to spend most of their time in front of a computer because the boss is busy, you're out there hustling, you're out there trying to make sure all the jobs are going well, and all the boys are on the site, the job site, they don't have time to write this. And even if they did, I think this would be more likely a 2-week scenario, and it'd be very frustrating because it's a different type of work, right? The mental work required to put a pool in to make sure everything's right there is different to, it's a different skill set, obviously, ideating and writing something. Writing is very difficult. That's unsurprising. Anybody who's really tried to write blog posts or try to write well knows that there's so much repetition and thought that goes into small things before they become automatic for you to get to the next stage. And the only way to get better is to just continue to do it. So I would say topic selection and research. Research should come after outline, in my opinion. The only time that research should come before outline, in my opinion, if you're going to write a blog post, is when you are not sure if the idea is a good one or something that people are already searching for and you really want to take the SEO angle. Then you might do a little bit of research, but that would be more looking at SEO tools than gathering information and reliable sources and stuff like that. I think you should get out what's in your head, do an outline first. And the best way, in my experience, to do an outline is to outline for yourself exactly what you think the headings should be, and then dot point under them what you think should go underneath each one of them. And if you're having trouble with doing an outline, we have an outline in our resources section on our website that you can take a look at. So a content brief template. So this will be the template that has an outline for you. If I open this up, you can see here that you can use the template, you can copy it. Here's what we use generally when we are going to brief content. This is our outline, right? So we give the SEO keywords. We look at people also ask. So if I search in Google, is there those little drop downs saying people also ask this, and these questions, and which one of those might be relevant to whatever we're writing. We try to write an angle as well. So an angle being, if we have an opinion, if we have a certain point that we want to push in this, what is that and why are we having that and why do we think that? Why is that important to us and to the client? And then we have page article title. So that would be the title that we got over here out of ChatGPT. So let's pretend it is fiberglass versus concrete pools. And then we have first heading points, subheading points, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then second heading, right? So you got to think when you are looking at, let's pretend this is concrete versus fiberglass pools here. And we've written this, that's the title. The first heading here is, let's say, concrete pools. Then we would say an introduction to concrete pools. You know, they are customizable and they are the preference of many people, but not all, blah, 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 blah. Then you might go on a side heading, pros of fiberglass pools, pros of concrete pools, cons of concrete pools. You could have another one saying the cost of concrete pools, et cetera, et cetera. So those are the subheadings. And then the next one would be fiberglass pools and it would have its own subheadings. And in each one, what you want to do is just do a mind dump and get at everything out of your head. If you get it out of your head first, then it's on the page. And that's the best way to write if you are not accustomed to writing. You want to make sure that everything that you think is on the page as fast as humanly possible, probably with little to no editing. It's better to just do a mind dump and get it all out because you can cut it back later and you'll find as you write, the ideas develop. But if you don't put anything on paper, then nothing begins, right? So 80-20, dump 80% of what's in your head out onto the page and think about refining the ideas later. That's when you get into the writing stage. So let's jump back to ChatGPT here, scroll down. So that's your outline. Then you would do your research, right? You know what headings you've got, what headings you want, and you know then what do I want to research around, the cons of fiberglass pools, because maybe all I do is concrete and maybe there's some things I haven't thought about. I know the things that come up in sales conversations. I know the things that come up here. Let me go talk to the sales guys. What else have they heard? What else do we know? Let me do a little bit of research online and take a look at maybe the durability of fiberglass pools. How reliable are they really versus the claims? Is there some study on that? Is there somebody who's written an article on it? What else can I get out of that? That's where you can go and dig a bit deeper in your research. There's in expert interviews and things like that, I think that these sorts of things are not going to be necessary for many sites, many blogs on a pool builder website. However, think about it this way: if you don't do pool fencing and somebody else does pool fencing, and you have a contractor you use, there's a great opportunity to insert, if you were doing a blog about pool fencing, some quotes in from them. Go and talk to them, ask them these pros and cons or whatever else you need to ask, and get some quotes out of them. Hey, what do you think about fences? Wood versus glass or something like that. I don't know. Those sorts of things can be really helpful in making your content stand out to customers, but also Google really likes that sort of stuff. So I would say that your outline and topic selection, if you've selected the topic, I think you can do topic and outline in the day one, especially if you use ChatGPT to help you. Just make sure you only do one post at a time, right? Trying to dump your mind from like 4 different things at one go is really intensive, and you're probably not going to switch so well between, say, a fencing post versus a fiberglass versus concrete pools post. So do that all in one day. I think your research probably can take that day as well for the most part, at least in the beginning. A lot of what you'll find is as you write, you will research, because you'll get an idea or a way to say something. And like, I really should back that up maybe with the claim that I've made up with some kind of statistic or someone else who thinks that or whatever. And you can find that as you write, you sort of do that and insert that also. The other advantage of sort of doing it this way as well is that when you've got the outline there, once you get to this writing point, so let's say we're down to writing now, this is a separate day. I would say writing, if somebody's not experienced in writing, it's going to take 2 to 3 days. And I don't mean 2 to 3 full days, right? I mean, you're going to come back to it for 2 or 3 days before you sort of are happy with rounding it out. So I'd say that's relatively accurate. The benefit of doing the outline the way that we do it over here in this content brief example that we've got on our site is that each one of these points now is already in there. So you don't have to think about what headings to put in when you come to writing. You don't have to think about what goes under those points. What you can do now is just start filling out those points, right? Explain them to somebody as if you were talking to, say, a friend who doesn't know about what you do or how to do it, right? Explain it in that sort of way. That's just direct. You're not mincing words. You're just trying to get them to understand the whats and the whys and the hows. If you do that, you're going to fill this out really easily, and you're going to find that 800 words sounds daunting until you go, okay, that's one header here. So let's say this was even an introduction and it was, say, 50 to 100 words. And then every subheading is another 200 words. You're going to find out, okay, that's 400 already, 500 words already. That doesn't include an introduction to the article, which might be another 50 to 100 words. So that's another 500 words. Is it 2, 4, 5, 6, 600 words total now. And then there's still heading 2, right? So you're already probably, if you do the same amount there, up at another, 1,100 words. Plus a conclusion is another 100 words. So now you're at 1,200 words, and that was easy, right? Because all you did was fill around the dot points. Gave an example, talked directly to those people, and then just moved on to the next thing. So I'd say that's 3 to 7, that's right. Revision, I would say that's a day, in my opinion. It might be 2 days if you split revision up, right? So I would say revision of the writing here, a day, put in some comments, use Google Docs. I like Docs, but you can use it in Word too. Put in some comments or some points here underneath things where you go, as you're reading back what you wrote, we should add a picture here about this. Let's add the picture of so-and-so doing XYZ thing when we did that. Can we get a diagram done up here from, you can do diagrams in Excel still, right? So you can do that there, copy it as a JPEG, and then insert it into your post, and that would work just as well as anything else, as long as you get the idea across. So I'd say that's relatively accurate. And then your visual, multimedia, and SEO optimization, as I've said, I think that's all in the same day. I would say that you could probably do all of this in one day if you are relatively speedy, if you're confident in the visual side or in the revision side. If not, I'd say it's a day for revision here. Then it's visuals, multimedia, and SEO optimization. That's easily a day. Final review. Okay, so your final review here is 1 day. So 1 day up here and 1 day down here in the final review. And then publishing is the same day. There's no need to review it and then wait another day. If you've already waited once to review the content, or even twice because you've done a review here, waited a day, done this, waited a day before the final review, it's had more than enough review, it can go out. Publishing does not take a day. Publishing is somewhere between 1 and 2 hours, depending on your your website, what you're using. If you're using, say, WordPress, it's different to if you're using Squarespace. And I would say 1 to 2 hours, purely because you want to make sure the formatting and everything goes right, and you carry over all the SEO details that you want. So yeah, I would say a week is reasonable if you have someone who can dedicate time to this every single day. Let's say they've got to dedicate between 1 and 2 hours a day to this. I reckon you can get this done in a week. You can outsource it and definitely get it done 1 a week. Otherwise, every 1.5 to 2 weeks is a super reasonable assumption to be able to improve your SEO as a small business in general. But for pool builders, I think this is reasonable for sure. You just need to make sure you block out that time and you allow for that time, right? Things will come up from time to time, and you'll break. It's sort of like gym. You'll break your habit. Just get back into the habit again. Just, hey, next week we're going to start it up again, and just make sure you block out the time again, and just keep rolling. Even if you don't hit the 1 a week publish mark, you hit the 1 every 2 weeks, or maybe you manage to get 1 a month up. Just start with that, and then it'll become progressively easier. I promise it will, and you will be able to move much faster. You will be much more confident. You'll find that you are thinking about what can go into content as you're doing other things, and you'll be able to note it for later. So that was a little deviation there, actually, on what I actually wanted to talk about today, but I found that this is really important to go through if you are daunted by the amount of content people expect from your website or from marketing in general. Right, moving on to how to do ideation, right? So that was how to do ideation 1. You can use you can use ChatGPT. The other thing I found when I was looking at this and I was thinking about it, was like, look, I should really show you that there are these tools. So I have access to this tool, and there's plenty of other tools like it, where you can say, hey, put in Pool Pro Mag, give me all the keywords that it ranks for, right? So what you're going to do when that happens is you're going to be able to pull out all these keywords, and what you're going to see is, okay, well, what about, okay, here, exposed aggregate pool finish, right? Cool. How aggregate elevates pool finishes. I wouldn't have thought of that personally. Something that I could write about here. The art of aggregates, right? Serene Page has written that. Lovely person too, by the way, if you do need pool content. I have spoken to her. Very smart, very talented writer around this industry. But moving on, aggregates provide lasting luxury. I wouldn't have thought about any of this, right? You can go, obviously, and use one of these tools to pull that out. The other thing you can do is just go to something like Pool Pro Magazine, right? And then just open it up and then just scroll. And what else have these guys written about? If you want to really take a look at what people have written about in the past, you can, go to their blog and scroll all the way down to the bottom and go bottom up instead of what's current. The other thing you can do, pull open a competitor, whoever the biggest competitors are, pull some of their websites open and look at their blogs. What have they written about? What have they written about that you haven't written about? And then just start from there. Right? If you think they've got success in terms of SEO, in terms of their blog, in terms of things, and you like what they put out, then write something similar. There is nothing wrong with writing something similar to what your competitor's written. The reason they've written it is because it helps customers, and customers aren't going to see that on both sites and go, oh, I can't believe they've copycatted. The industry knowledge is the same, right? Like, you can't write. If somebody writes how to install a fiberglass pool and you do fiberglass pool installation, it's not uncommon or unexpected for you to also write how to install a fiberglass pool content, because you would expect that. Now, there may be parts that you would differ on what they say or how they say it, or your process may be different. Totally. Write about that. Lean on that. But don't be shy of copycatting, because you're not really copycatting, right? Obviously, you don't want to copy and paste and just change paragraph by paragraph. You want to think about it from your own perspective, from your own point of view. Definitely use your own examples. Talk about your own clients, and talk about why you have a slightly different process because of experience that you've had personally installing in a certain area or in a certain way or with certain contractors or whatever it is that you've got. Use that information to make your stuff unique. But there's nothing wrong with copycatting that sort of stuff, because it really is not copycatting. You can only have so many people, so many unique posts around something when there's so much competition, right? So the content you write should be unique. The idea doesn't necessarily need to be 100% unique. So that's another way to do it. Open your competitors, open something like Pool Pro magazine, and see what they've written about, see what they've talked about, and write it yourself, right? Get in there and write about what you want to say. Write about what's important to your customers based on what what's already had success on other people's websites. Really easy way to go through and elevate your content without having to think too hard about probably what should be written down, what shouldn't be written down, all those sorts of things. Okay, let me take a look at the time. How are we going for time here? Man, this is actually, we won't even get to half of the stuff I wanted to today. We're only 15 minutes off the top of the hour here. So now that I've been through this, let's see what else I had in my goodie bag here. I had Simplified. I had Anonymous Leak from SparkToro here. So there's a Google algorithm leak. I think the algorithm leak might be a good one for later, purely because I think this is going to be a deep topic and something that requires maybe a little bit more, what's the word? More time for nuance, right? And I want to give you a direct link between why you should care about this outside of the fact that we know you want, traffic from Google is helpful, but why this directly can influence you and help you to improve your business. So I'm going to leave this for now. A couple of other things I have found. I did want to share this. I haven't used this yet, so I might register in front of you now. Maybe we can try to use this. But I found this interesting, this Viral Finder. So save time finding content for social media. Viral Finder is a simple way to find the best performing content on Instagram. So one of the problems that I think pool builders have in general here is posting on social media. Small businesses have this problem in general, and I definitely have this problem, right? And it's hard to think of like what is a good post, and then it's also hard to think of like when and where am I going to do that, and then you've got to get over the courage leap, right? There's that courage gap there that you've got to jump over and just I've got to look a little bit silly, probably, or feel like I look silly to get this out. And it's totally normal, right? Anything new we do, it requires you to be good at it. It requires you to sacrifice your ego to be better, right? I can't remember who said that. Epictetus maybe, or something like that. One of the Stoic philosophers has said essentially something to that effect. To be good at anything, you need to sacrifice the ego because if you let the ego stand in the way, you'll never start. And if you never start, you never go. But even if you do start, you won't continue it, right? Because you're too worried about your appearance, playing the guitar, everything, right? So all of these things have that gap. But I think this could be very handy for people in terms of creating a list of things you can use to better your social media. So look, I'm creating an account right now. You can continue. All right. So let's have a look and see if there's anything in here for pool builds. I'm going to put myself up here a little bit more. Bob and Patrick, I have 3 remaining searches. So you get 3 free searches this month, which is cool. So let's see if we've got anything for pool builds. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I think that this sort of tool, it's so early days, this tool as well. Just want to preface this with that maybe there's not a lot right now that is going to be helpful, if that makes sense, for pool builders. But I think if you look specifically just in pools, you are going to find that maybe things are not so great. But you can definitely look at things like business, entrepreneur, things like that, and see what might be similar-ish and take it. People who are doing similar construction might be helpful, things like that. What's a concept that they've done that's gone viral that you could do, right? So there's that as well. So let me see, where do I get a search in here? I got 3 remaining searches. The feedback that I would give this business right away is like, hey, where's the search bar? You reach search for the famous singer showing most comments liked. This will show you what click. Okay, so again, not a whole lot there to helping me to search, right? Let me go to feed and see what comes in. Surely there's got to be a way. User search, hashtag search. Okay, so there's user and hashtag search, and then there's popular on Instagram here. Okay, so now we can see there's a feed of stuff that's popular. David Goggins, blah, 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 blah. Okay, this looks like inspo stuff. It's not something that is interesting to me or many other people, I would say. So let's go hashtag here and let's say pools. All right, let's use one of these searches, see what comes up. Search. Give me viral stuff on pools. Oh, okay, it's got a process. All right, we keep them this. Okay. So it looks like it's going to take some time. I wasn't aware, so I apologize for that. Oh, nope, we've got results. There we go. Okay, cool. Pools, summer, poolside, pool design, swimming pool. All right, so there's a ton of really good stuff, hashtags here. So this might be good when you're posting yourself to think about using some of these hashtags. And then there's a lot of mentioned users here as well. So let's see what we can find here. A Bay Village pool bring resort styles to Lake Erie shores. Okay, so that's Cleveland Magazine. The mosaicist. I've seen this guy does mosaics for pools. They are absolutely beautiful. Obviously, this isn't something that's super easy to copy unless you've done some really nice mosaics yourself. Totally worth posting. If you haven't, then it's probably worth continuing to scroll. See if you can find some videos or something like that. You know, there's a ton of these ones there. Things are sort of beautiful. These little pools, quite a fun little pool there, given the area that they've got. SJ Pools NJ, Poolman Luke 24/7 or 247. Okay, so send you some pool posts. So you get 332 likes in here. It looks like these are qualifying as semi-viral. This is some influencer by the looks of it. No, I don't want to open her account. Sorry about that. Not interested in that. More influencers. So it looks like there is a lot of room here for ideas that cut through. A lot of this is just people who have followings in the pool. This is quite a nice sort of little family moment. Quite like that. Interesting. So you've got your pool install stuff. Okay, so here we go. It's got some pool install work here by the looks of it. Or reno work potentially, one or the other. But the rest of this is very, very sort of average, if I'm really honest. Nothing here is really standing out for me in terms of an interesting idea outside of maybe posting yourself on the pool industry, right? You could definitely post as a pool builder on the pool industry, take some of the things that come out of Pool Pro Mag and maybe reblog them, repost them with some design and some kind of commentary yourself, right? Obviously make it your own. Don't just take those photos and pass them off as yours, but you could definitely do that. I would say that's an idea. I kind of like this sort of Airheads Candy Maker introduces the world's first underwater vending machine. So this is interesting, right? Interesting engineering. There's an underwater vending machine. I can't see, a really interesting sort of PR stunt. So there's things like that. And then there's just beautiful pool installs. So I think there's a ton of room here for some, for some creativity. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of creativity in this at this moment. But I wonder if there's a way for us to see like some of the most viral stuff recently or something that, some really good reels and things like that. I think that those sorts of things can really stand out. Looking at people who just really do sort of content well, right? There are a number of influencers right now that I'm falling down the hole of because I am building a home. And yes, we will have a pool. Because I'm building a home, there's quite a number of architects who do a really great job of just making comments on the industry trends, right? So here's an idea of that. Let's go for an idea of that, right? So some of the architects that I've seen comment on some of these things will be, so here we go. So they'll comment on something like conversation pits, right? So if you've never seen a conversation pit, you will have seen them probably in movies and things like that. Really popular in the 70s, I believe. These conversation pits in the middle of the lounge, right? So you've got this conversation pit here, right? So I've heard some architectural designers talking about these coming back. Look at the design, showing you various designs of things like that, and just talking about the aspects of it, how it's going to be a really different sort of thing coming through, and how it's bringing some fresh sort of ideas to to interior design, because we abandoned this quite a long time ago, in the 70s, not that long ago, I guess, but sort of. And they're coming back now, and it's something that's becoming stylish again. So I think you could do something similar as a pool builder here, and you can say, "Hey, the art of aggregates," and talk about aggregates and how that changes the look and feel of the pool, how that sort of thing may or may not have gone in and out of fashion, or how the trends have changed in that. You could also talk about an example would be we talked about fiberglass versus concrete pools. Do a reel on that. Why fiberglass? Why concrete? You could definitely do that. You could do something where you post around the content that you're writing for the blog and the ideation we've already done, and try to make interesting ideas. Another good thing to do, if we are going to use this as an example, let's use ChatGPT again, right? And see what ChatGPT can come up with. Obviously, I think that it's better to get inspiration from things that have definitely worked and you've seen out in the wild, or that you have experience with. But if you don't, we could ask ChatGPT. So I've decided to write a blog on concrete versus fiberglass pools. Excuse my spelling is different, Australian spelling. Sometimes we spell things are different. If this was for a client website in the States, I would be sure to check my spelling here. But because it's just an example, doesn't matter. Let's think of some viral social media ideas that we could do around the same topic. Cool. Polls and surveys, before and after showcases, Q&A sessions, UGC, infographics, virtual pool tours, contest and giveaways, behind the scenes. What is a PR stunt we could do that would draw attention? So think about that. You can do that. Yeah. So it's not so great at thinking of like these type of ideas. I think a lot of this is just standard stuff you will get in most like very low entry level blogs around what you can post about and what you can do. Polls and surveys. No one wants to hear, if you don't have a social media following now that's big enough, a poll or a survey is just useless. Who's going to fill it out? Unless you're paying a research company to do a poll or a survey for you, which may be something new, or you're going to go out in the street. You can do man on the street interviews where you could ask people, hey, concrete or fiberglass pool if you had to install one, or do you have one? What did you get and why? That could be very interesting sort of stuff to sway people to concrete or fiberglass, or just give people a balanced opinion if you wanted to. There's before and after showcase, share stunning before and after photos of videos of pool. Okay, so obviously you've got your before and after and your process stuff, which is something you probably have already thought about and done anyway. Expert Q&A sessions. You could definitely speak on concrete pools and maybe how the process is done. Speak to some of the boys who do it. Speak to are there other concrete like materials that people have tried in the past or are trying now that anybody knows about? Is there something here you could go out and do some research on? You've got UGC content campaign. Look, I think this is pretty normal. Get people to post. You're going to do this from your reviews anyway, so I don't think this is very interesting. Infographics and visuals. I think this is useful. It's definitely in the blog. If you get good visuals for your blog where you're showing the difference in, say, strength, or you're showing the difference in thickness of the walls and how that makes a difference, or something like that, or the plumbing, how the plumbing works between the two. You could definitely do some infographics and visuals and post that on Instagram. The problem is you want to make it not just informative when you go to Instagram, you want to make it entertaining as well. So being able to do that is difficult. And I think maybe getting those visuals and creating a real talking on them through is probably going to be better than flat posting them. If you don't have the time and resource to do the talking, better to flat post them and have something up and write a caption about it than nothing. Virtual pool tours. This is silly. Doesn't make any sense to me. Contest and giveaway. Another, I just don't see this as interesting or worth its weight, right? If you've got to give away dollar value to get attention, usually it's transactional for that dollar value. and you're not going to get a lot of following afterwards unless your content is really, really tight and you're able to really, really target that audience. I don't think this is going to work. Behind the scenes content is definitely interesting. Fiberglass pools, like for example, you could show the molding of the pools if you have access to a facility like that. Someone like Aquatechnics, I know in the States, might be able to do something like that or help you do something like that if you had a team out that way near them. That might be something you could do. This is silly. This doesn't make any sense. As a thing, an educational TikTok series. Well, cool. That's not viral at all. That's just sort of a lot of what we're already talking about. And interactive quizzes again is silly as well. Look, there's a lot of different ways you can be creative, but I think sometimes creativity requires copying to a certain degree, getting an idea that someone else has and adapting it to your own. So you're copying the base idea, the base layer somewhere, and then adding it to your own. There's things where people have done posts on some of the craziest pools or something like that. Those sorts of posts to really it's not gonna really lead to a lot of retention or customers, which is probably why, in my opinion, it's sort of better on social media than your blog, although you could do it on both. Those sorts of things might be interesting. Be interesting from a point of view is when you get a new hire, especially if you have an apprentice and you are showing them the ropes, have them document their process of learning. You do that too and sort of cut it up into one reel a month or something, or one reel a week or whatever sort of makes sense. You could definitely do that. Say, hey, what do you think about this? How do you think we do this? And show them not, sort of learning and figuring out. Now, obviously you don't want to show the bloopers, the real big, mistakes, so to speak, but you do want to show some of it, right? You want to humanize it. You want to show that, hey, there's a hardworking people who have a specialized skill set who are out there installing these pools for you so that you can live your dream in your backyard. And this is a little window into what that looks like. That's about it. I think you've definitely run up on time now. Let me close this window here. I think that in the next videos, we'll talk a little bit about some more of the social stuff. There are a couple of social tools I have here that are supposed to help you create this simplified. It's supposed to be part of that. Help you create a lot of social media posts from scratch. I am dubious on their ability to do that very well because they use AI and ChatGPT, and we just learned from looking at this ChatGPT stuff here that ChatGPT is not very good at this, right? Doesn't know what's currently interesting to people or what's been done to death. All it knows is stuff it's read in like poorly written blog posts by people like maybe in 2012. And a lot of this sort of stuff, the way that we think about social media now, and the things that we find entertaining now are not polls and surveys. They're just not. Not in general, right? There are exceptions, but yeah, not generally. So I would say that in the future, I will try to bring something like this automation stuff here. Where is this? I've lost it. Here we go. This dashboard here and show you my experiments with it. I do have and am launching a new pool builder website right now. Crazy Creatures Pools. Right, so we've got Crazy Creatures Pools right now. Completely fake pool website. I'm going to rank this website #1 in Orlando for Pool Builders Orlando. You can see here it's, it is what it is. It's green, it stands out, it's different, it's breaking the blue and white trend. We are going to make this stand out and show you that SEO for pool builders does take time. It is, what is the word? I keep forgetting the way to phrase it. It's hard, but it's not difficult, if that makes sense, right? It's consistent actions over time. It's making sure you've got someone assigned to it. It's making sure you've got someone who can sort of go through the motions on a regular basis, which is why generally outsourcing this is a better idea, because anyone internally is going to obviously be taken in many directions, unless you dedicate a person to that internally, which is a whole nother level of conversation. But I'm going to rank this as #1. I have let Google index this so far, and there is no rankings yet. We haven't really gone and anything outside of sort of knock the website up and do that. There is pool tips here. There you'll see that there are no posts under this here. There is just blog post, which is the standard sort of WordPress fake post that goes up. So we've got nothing in here. We've got a pool design page, and we've got a home page, and then we've got a couple of sort of about pages and whatnot. But the rest of it is pretty blank. I am going to go through and show you in different ways how we can do better pool builder marketing, right? So I've picked a color scheme that stands out but is not particularly appealing. I have picked a logo here that is terrible. I knocked that up with AI and just a little bit of Canva and stuff, so very bad. I'm going to show you how to go through the marketing process, the SEO process, the creating content process, all these sorts of things, and how we can rank pool builders online, how we can help you to go from 0 to position 1 in Google and get better leads, get more leads come through, and grow your pool business throughout the year. I don't think that's an unreasonable thing to say, although yes, there are plenty of disclaimers I could put in around, I'm not saying you'll make $1 million during winter in the middle of New Jersey installing pools, but there is no reason, I think, why we can't keep the ball running throughout that entire process. So keep an eye on this space. Every week I'm going to give an update on what we've done in this, even if it's nothing, because I want you to be aware of the process that we've gone through and how we've gone through it. My plans for the following week are to get some content up. I want to get some blog posts up here as fast as possible, and I want to look at getting some links as well. So I'm going to work on that, and I will come back to you soon. Thank you for checking out the office hours, and I will see you next time.